some people call it the 0 point field or the nothingness or the Ein Sof I don't know if that's another name for it. But you're saying the first entity that it created was a dragon?
Yes, absolutely.
Let's start
I
over
would say
here.
the first entity in that realm of existence was a dragon. Well, what
Mm,
we call dragons,
mm,
that
mm,
consciousness. And I want everybody who's watching this to kind of look at the universe or the omniverse or whatever we want to call it that we live in. I want people to look at it as like a video game, like a computer program.
mm-hmm.
And the creator, look at the creator as, Steve Jobs or somebody that created or Bill
Mm,
Gates, somebody that
okay.
created a computer software program. Well,
Mm,
there's different nodes and systems in that software that's going to help the software run better. So these
mm,
goes into archons and dragons and different things like that is going to be created to help the system run.
mm,
And I didn't mean to say archons because the archons came through the demiurge, but before that, before creation, the false creation, there was the primordial world, which is the true world. And in that existence, you had different entities that the true creator, or like Dr. Delbert Blair should say, the universal prime creator created to
mm,
run the true world, the true matrix that
mm,
was supposed to be.
mm.
And the dragon entities or the consciousness was the first ones they are the most conscious beings, the most aware beings in the universe or the omniverse.
Mm, mm. So, all right. So, give me a timeline from the Universal Prime Creator. We got Primordials. We got Archons. We got who else? I forgot the other names. But give me like a timeline. How did all of this happen?
Well, we started out with the creator itself created a universe.
Mm,
And, it's funny because I meant to have the Metal Netter next to me. If anybody ever read the Metal Netter, and they talked about how the creator created the universe. This creator created dragons and what people call the ultraviolets. These are just nicknames for these entities to kind of run this universe. So the time really doesn't start until you start building a false world. So this thing is before before there was even a time.
okay.
But the way the cycle goes is it goes from dragons and that universe. But in that universe, you also have what people call titans, which what we call titans. And there's different variations of them. Some people even go into H.P. Lovecraft and dealing with the what do you call those? The Necronomicon, those entities and stuff like these chaotic chaos beings who to the third dimensional reality, they look like they're chaos beings to us. They look like they're what's the word? Grotesque to us. But
Mm,
that's because we're coming from a third dimensional mindset. But these entities in their true form are beautiful. They're beautiful entities. We can
mm,
only see them as chaotic because we're looking at it from a third dimensional perception.
mm,
And when you're dealing with spirituality, these beings, they look different on different realities, just like you do.
mm,
If anyone ever woke up in their dreams, looked at themselves in the mirror, you do not look like yourself most of the time.
mm,
You may look something like yourself, but you may notice different things like your hair may be white or your eyes may be glowing. Now that's when you're in your higher astral form. You're actually still alive and you're still feeding energy to your astral form. You can look in these mirrors and actually see yourself. But when you're in your lower astral form, you're dead and you're not really conscious, then you look exactly like you looked on Earth. You're just a
mm,
copy, you know what I mean?
mm,
So you could start with the primordials being the entities who were here before time. You know what I mean? Those entities came on down to what we call the Sophia or the Great Mother, Tiamat, whatever you want to call her. And it's funny because Tiamat is even looked at as the Great Dragon. You know what I mean? The Great Dragon.
mm,
So a lot of these cultures go back to having these first entities as great dragons. It's funny because even when you're dealing with the Olmec people, the Olmecs worshipped a deity that was a dragon god. And the Olmecs said that we lived inside of a dragon, or we lived on a realm of the dragon. You know what I mean?
mm,
Now we know the Olmecs, we talking about like 1,000,000 years ago. So
mm,
they was on a whole nother timeline where you could actually see dragons,
mm.
right? I'm one of those people who, some people will say, well, let's not get too spooky, but I'm one of the people, I want to get spooky. I
Yeah,
want to go
nah,
as deep as this.
I want to get as spooky as you could get,
Right,
brother.
right.
Yeah, I want to.
I
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
go as deep as this thing can go, right?
yeah.
So when you're dealing with that, I talked about in my Dragon Magic class how even the dinosaurs were actually dragons, and this
I,
is
I,
something that's
I,
hidden from a lot of people. Now you got some people today saying the dinosaurs never existed. You know what I'm saying? Of course they existed. The dinosaurs were actually dragons, and it's funny when I had an astral projection experience. I sometimes I astral project and I get a lot of my information, and I'll talk to people. And I was told that the dinosaurs also had feathers on them. A lot of these dinosaurs had feathers. So when you hear the Mayans talking about Quetzalcoatl, this feathered serpent or dragon that was flying in the sky, you could have been talking about a dinosaur. One of the last few that was actually still around or existed. This is real information. The Olmecs dealt with a dragon god that they believed. And this is how sometimes you'll even see their pictures where they're in a spaceship, but they have a dragon behind them, right? That was representing the realm of the dragon and also representing a certain level of knowledge. And when you look at the Olmecs, their system was a theocratic government. So they had a system where the spiritual people, so the shamans and the priests were actually above the whole system. And it was said that these shamans could turn into jaguars and different animals and stuff like that. And these shamans will wear stuff with dragons on them sometimes to represent dragons, because that was a certain level class of the elite when you're dealing with the Olmec people. So this concept of dragons is very, very old. And when you get into the what they call the ultraviolets represent people who are high entities that are very high level lights. And it's light that you can't perceive sometimes, so it's viewed as darkness. Like Lucifer, I talked about Lucifer. Lucifer being more of a feminine energy. And then there's other aspects of primordials, like I didn't talk about in my past video, like the shiny ones. The shiny ones are ultraviolet or ultra terrestrials that deal more with the elemental entities. So we're talking about fairies, gnomes, and stuff like that. They have a certain class called the shiny ones that deal more with those entities there. So even when you deal with and that energy comes on down to melanin itself, right? When you're dealing with melanin itself, you're talking about an ultraviolet energy. You're talking about something that can't be perceived. Nobody really understands it. And I talked about Lucifer being love, right? And Lucifer being love. And love is an energy or a force that cannot be perceived. It's hard to understand. And I was breaking it down in the video how you don't even get to choose who you love. You just fall in love. We believe we have free will, and we do to a certain extent, even though you choose your life before you come down here, and that's your free will. You already chose it. This is what you chose, even though you don't remember. But at the same time, that love energy is chaos. Like Brother Bob used to say a lot. It's that chaotic energy. It can make you kill somebody. It can make you heal somebody. It can make you love somebody. But at the same time, that ultraviolet, high level, high vibratory, pure love energy is also comes down to music, right? Music can be chaos until you order it. It becomes beautiful, right? So we're talking about, and I did a video called How to Evolve in the Left-Hand Path. And I talked about how the real high level dark side magicians, they get down with, they create chaos, but they control chaos, which brings order. You know what I mean? Order out of that chaos. So at the same time, melanin itself is chaos, but it's also ultraviolet energy, because melanin is also can be looked at as love. It could be looked at as dark matter, dark energy, which is nothing but what love is. And alchemists, their biggest secret, you know, I found a lot of this stuff out just from studying. Alchemy, their biggest secret is using the vibration of love to transmute matter, to transmute things into the physical. You know, I want people, everybody who's watching this, I want them to get this book called The Black Sun. The Black Sun, the Alchemy and Art of Darkness, right? And it goes into
who's the author?
What's the guy named
who's the author?
Carl Jung. It goes into Carl Jung and how he had a name
Joseph,
for.
you can hear me?
Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, it sounded choppy for a second there.
Can you hear me?
How he had
I don't think you can hear me.
Energy called Soul Niger, right? A whole chapter here going in on the Soul Niger, right? You could call that the Soul Niger, Soul Nigger, Soul Naga, whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? And then later on in the chapter, they have a whole picture in here of a black lady, and they say that this is the aspect of Soul Niger, and she's looking at a certain aspect of herself. You know what I mean? So I want everybody if you want to know deeper stuff about darkness.
Show that again. Can you show that again?
Get this book. It really explains a lot about melanin. And it's funny, on the first few pages, they actually give you the picture of chaos and what they call the Black Sun, right? the black sun, which kind of goes into the energy of Dot or Da'at in the Kabbalah, you know, and that Da'at energy can also be looked at as Lucifer, right? Can also be looked at as Lucifer or that ultraviolet high level energy. Tesseract, the yellow sun, they look at as the false sun. And then that Da'at energy is looked at more as the true Christ or the true Messiah that shines down from the other world, from the flipped world, from the true universe, which they call universe A. And then they say we live in universe B. You know what I mean? But I don't want to jump too far ahead of myself. I might be answering questions that you got already, brother.
Can you hear me? You can hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear
me? I can hear you clear, brother.
Okay, all right. What's the author? Tell the people to author that book real quick that you just showed.
Yes.
Because they're gonna grab that. They're gonna I'm gonna grab that.
That's the author right there.
Staten Marlin family. Staten. I hope I'm saying it right. All right. You know, you said something interesting. Like you just said something. I mean, yeah, you on fire today, brother. So I just want you to just keep going in. Don't think you're going.
Thank you.
I don't want you to hold back. Just keep going. You on fire, brother. Just keep doing what you're doing. But you mentioned